regarding the spine. If you guys have come to any of my classes at all, any of my live classes, you know that I am a stickler for spinal alignment, for joint stacking, for great physiology, and taking care of the anatomical structures of our body. It's very, very important to me. Practicing safely is of utmost importance. The last thing I want is for anyone to have an injury whatsoever in a class that I'm teaching or anywhere really. So today we're going to really hone in on how to move the spine and how to stretch it nice and safely, okay? First of all, it's really important to understand that the way the spine warms up, so we all know that before we go running or maybe before we cross-train, we do anything, there's always some type of like maybe 5-minute warm-up or something like that involved. Even in our power flow sequence that we do here, about the first 5 to 6 minutes are really spent sort of integrating into the practice and then also warming the spine up and warming up other muscles. So warming up is very important because with our spine and the joints of our vertebrae, there's no like sort of warm synovial fluid that's kind of moving through there at all to get those joints warmed up, but rather the muscles themselves around the spine have to get warm in order to create more spinal flexibility and more spinal mobility, okay? On that note, let's just talk about stability and mobility and flexibility of the spine for just a second. I want you to understand and note that the lumbar spine, which is the lowest part of your spine, like from your tailbone, just right above your tailbone up to low back, that part of your spine is meant for stability. It is not meant to move, right? So the way that we stabilize the low back is by using the muscles of the core and the glutes, right? So whenever we're thinking about stabilizing the lumbar spine, I'm going to really engage the glutes and the hips. And I'm also going to start to pull the belly in towards center and draw the navel up towards the low ribs, okay? And that provides this little part of the back the stability that it needs. Now, if you're weaker in these muscles, in the core muscles, and in your back muscles or in your glute muscles, then there's a lot of exercises that you can do to strengthen those. And this will be a really great start for some of that. So when it comes to mobility and flexibility, we want to think thoracic spine, okay? So that's our mid-back, all right? So for instance, if I'm going to do spinal extension, which we're going to talk about in just a second, if I'm going to come into a spinal extension, which is like a back bend, the first thing I'm going to do, and I'm going to be very intentional about this every single time I back bend, is I'm going to squeeze my glutes, and I'm going to wrap the hip muscles around the hips, pull the belly in and up, and then maybe I lift my arms completely, or maybe I cactus the arms here. So as I cactus the arms, this is a really great way to learn this. You draw the shoulder blades together, and then what happens is the heart naturally opens up. The gaze kind of naturally turns up as well. So I'm squeezing the glutes, pulling the belly in, and then the mobility that I find is in the thoracic spine as I continue to think about opening the chest, right? And so from here, you can take a little baby back bend, which might be here, or maybe you get a little bit deeper. Maybe you can extend the arms and come into more full of a back bend, okay? But no matter where you are, the glutes stay engaged, the belly stays engaged, okay? So that's really important to understand, stability, mobility, and that flexibility really comes through the thoracic spine as well as you become more mobile. It's also important to note that the spine moves in 6 different directions, okay? So we just talked about the first one, spinal extension. Spinal extension is anything that if you think about being a heart opener or a back bend, this is spinal extension, okay? I won't go over that in too much more detail just because we just kind of did, okay? Spinal flexion, however, if you want to think about it like this, and you could do this seated, it would be fine. I'm going to do it standing just because I think it's a little bit easier of a demonstration. I want you to take your hands onto your hips for a moment and just feel, both of your hip bones, make sure that they feel even. So spinal flexion is forward folding. It's important to note that the theory of joint stacking is really, really important when it comes to our spine, and when it comes to all of our joints really, but especially when it comes to our spine. And so our hips, as we're standing here, basically in mountain pose, right, Tadasana, our hips are going to remain stacked over our ankle joints the entire time we're in a forward fold, okay? So take the hands onto the hips, maybe take a deep breath in, and then on your exhale, you're going to press the tailbone out, but you're keeping the hip joints, again, stacked right on top of the ankles. You lead with the chest as you fold down. So as we're coming into a halfway lift here, and you can bend the knees if you want to, that's absolutely fine, especially if your hamstrings are tight, because obviously this works more than just the back, but the hamstrings as well. So we come into this halfway lift. Now, there are a couple of back issues, that will not allow us really to bend any further than this. So if you have bulging disc issues, low back pain, and things like that, this may be as far as you go down, halfway lift. So anytime you're in maybe a flow class or anything like that, whenever they say, all right, fully forward fold, you're gonna skip that, and you're gonna stay in this halfway lift. It's fine to use a block or whatever you have at your disposal to put your hands on. To be honest with you, one of my favorite ways to practice the halfway lift is to take the hands on the upper thighs, so the quads, pull the shoulders in, draw the shoulder blades down the back, feel the tailbone shooting out through the back, and the crown of the head shooting forward. This allows me to also take care of my shoulders, because I'm packing my shoulders. And then I'm not tempted in any way whatsoever to like round my spine. I really am trying to keep everything in alignment so that I don't do any more damage to those discs, right? Okay, so to further our spinal flexion here, you can forward fold all the way down as long as you don't have those bulging discs, all right? And you can always bend the knees. Again, the hips want to stay as close to stacked over the ankles as possible. And so we would forward fold all the way down. You would drop the head and just breathe here. And so this is a really great posture to just come into anytime during the day that you need it just to relieve stress, okay? Good, so we find spinal flexion here. So we're going to lift all the way back up, neutral spine, roll the shoulder blades up, down, and away. Notice neutral spine is very important. The ears stack directly over the shoulders stack directly over the hips stack directly over the ankles. So sometimes you might find that the shoulders are going forward. That tends to be the case most of the time because of driving or cell phone usage and all that kind of stuff. So be intentional about rolling the shoulders up, down, and away, and just letting the hands come down by your sides. Pulling the belly in and squeezing the glutes, supporting that lumbar spine, being very stable here, okay? All right, so we have spinal extension, and we have spinal flexion, all right? So those are the first two ways that the spine moves. Two other ways, I'm gonna turn facing you. Our spine moves from right to left. We can go like this, right? Or I hope you can. If you can't, then we're gonna work on that, okay? We're gonna try to correct some of that if possible. Understand here, when we move from one side to the other, it's not about how far you go over. There's some people that I know like put themselves in almost like a 90-degree angle. It's not about that. I want you to focus on extending through the side bodies, through both side bodies. This is really easy if you're coming over to the right side. It's really easy to compress that right side body when you really want to find some extension, okay? So notice where your hips are in space. Lift the arms up, okay? Draw the shoulder heads away from the ears and let the shoulder blades melt down the back. Take a deep breath in. And on our exhale, we're going to come over to the right. It's okay for that left hip to kind of come out just a little bit. And notice as I lift my hands, I'm almost finding sort of a spinal extension here, right? This can be a little bit hard for some people, just because maybe the low back muscles aren't as strong as they need to be. Yeah, so you don't have to come over far at all when you first begin this. Maybe you drop the right hand down. Keep extending up through the left hand and then draw the left shoulder back so that the gaze can come up towards the ceiling, all right? So I'm still trying very hard not to compress this right side body, but stay lifted, okay? Good, maybe take a couple breaths there. And then let's come back to center, lift both arms up. Do that on the other side, so we're gonna come over to the other side. So immediately you sort of wanna think about rotating that right shoulder back. Maybe you drop the left hand down, maintaining an extension through here, not a compression if you can help it, and then seeing if you can turn the gaze up towards the ceiling. Good, so you're gonna lift right back up, and you can stay in that position as long as you want. We're gonna come right back to mountain pose, okay? So we have spinal flexion, spinal extension, side to side, right? The other two directions the spine moves are right to left in a twisting variation. So our spine twists. Isn't it wonderful that it does that? It's so good that it does that. Because twisting is so good for so many different things. It helps aid in digestion and motility and mobility of everything. It does a lot of really good stuff, and it also really, really, really helps relieve stress and anxiety. So if you think about it like this, just go ahead and open the arms out nice and wide. Try to keep the hips facing forward as much as you can. Take a deep breath in. And on your exhale, just turn the arms and look over the right shoulder. Come back to center. And then turn, looking over the opposite shoulder, the left shoulder. Good. So that's just a simple, easy twist. So we're going to kind of put some of those theories and some of those ideas together into a little bit of a flow here for our backs, okay? And we're also going to stretch our backs. So let's go ahead. We're going to come into child's pose for just a moment. And when I come into child's pose, I really, really, really like to find, I always like to find space between each vertebrae in my back. I'm always thinking of that, and just about every posture that I do is how can I create more space between each of the bones in my back, okay? So I come down into child's pose, big toes together, knees may be separated apart, and let the tailbone go ahead and just drop down towards the heels, and then I'm leading with the chest as I'm walking the hands forward, and then eventually forehead comes down onto the mat. And I just breathe here. Take a good 5 to 10 breaths. Maybe softening the eyes, just releasing any tension that you might have. And then whenever you're ready, we're going to come up into a tabletop position. So we're going to pull the knees in. Hips are going to stack directly over the knees. The shoulders are going to stack directly over the wrists. There again is that theory of joint stacking, which we really, really love and makes your practice so much safer. So we're in tabletop position right now. So just being here in tabletop causes you to activate the core just to protect the low spine, to keep it from like just dipping down. We don't want that right now. So we're gonna pull the belly up and in, okay? And then just gently protract the shoulders and the shoulder blades, all right? So take a couple of deep breaths here, and we're gonna sigh the breath out through the mouth, and I want you to feel the engagement of your belly muscles here. So take a deep breath in, exhale forcefully. Breathe in, exhale forcefully. Breath in, and out. Good. So hopefully you felt the belly engaged there. Now, we're gonna work on warming those muscles up around the spine, moving through our calves and our calves. So good for our spinal mobility and flexibility. So on your next breath in, you're gonna lift the chest, you're gonna lift the tailbone, you're gonna drop the belly for cow face. And then on your exhale, you're gonna protract the shoulders, tuck the tailbone under, tuck the chin into the chest, for cat. And then inhale, you're gonna lift back up. Now you can go at the pace of your own breath here. That is absolutely fine. So not only in our cat-cows is our spine warming up, but also our hips and our shoulders as well, as we sort of protract and retract the shoulders, and as we tilt the hips back and forth. Good. So let's go ahead and come back into a neutral spine. So one of the things that a lot of people have trouble with within their backs, and it causes back pain and misalignment in the back, is just strength in the back. So one of the things that you can do to work on that strength is what we call bird dogs, all right? And if you ever go to physical therapy or anything like that for a back injury or anything, they're gonna have you do this. I can almost guarantee it. So in order to come into a bird dog, we're gonna go ahead and take our right foot, we're gonna press it back. Now, I like to press through my heel here. You wanna try to keep your hips nice and level. You can stay here, keep pressing through the heel, activate the hamstring muscles, you're activating the quads, and you're strengthening the back. Or if you feel ready and your back is strong enough, you can lift the left arm up. Notice that the gaze is directly down because this is also a part of the spine, our neck is, right? And so we want to keep this neutral as much as possible. So just breathe in this position. And then when you're ready, you can drop the hand, drop the knee. Okay, we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. So go ahead and extend through the left heel, press through, activate that leg, activate the glutes, which support the low spine, pull the belly in, and then maybe extend the right arm up. Again, gaze is directly down. And breathe. Good, whenever you're ready, you can release out of that, and then maybe take a couple more of your cat-cows, all right? And then here in your cat-cows, you can also feel free to take any sort of movement that you feel like your spine needs. If you need some circles with your hips, then you can take that. Just be sure if you go one direction, you also go in the opposite direction, okay? All right. So one of the best things that you can do for your back is a simple sun salutation A. So I'm going to take you through just one or two sun A's for now. And practice those a lot because it really takes a lot of back strength, and you're going to find that your back moves in a lot of different directions that we talked about earlier when you come through your sun salutation A's. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to actually start standing in our sun A's. So go ahead and come to the top of your mat. Find your mountain pose. Bring your hands to your heart. Maybe just soften the eyes for a second. Roll the shoulders up, down, and away, and breathe. Good. So we're going to inhale. We're going to reach the arms up. We're going to exhale, stack the hips over the ankles. We're going to swan dive forward all the way down, leading on the chest. Inhale, halfway lifted. Exhale, fold. You're going to plant your hands down, bend your knees, and step back to high plank. Drop the knees if you need to. Take your chest and your chin down, or take your chaturanga if that's in your practice. And then on your inhale, you're going to snake your way up into a baby cobra. Draw the shoulder blades or the shoulder heads away from the ears. Squeezing the glutes. Feeling the low back muscles, the mid back muscles activate. Notice that the gaze is not here, but the neck is at neutral. And then we're going to use the belly muscles to press all the way up the back into our downward facing dog. First downward dog, which is so good for the back. So in downward dog, I have a tutorial online about downward dog. You can feel free to watch that. There's just a couple things to remember. As you come to your downward dog, maybe for the first time, keep a nice big bend in your knees. It's really great for your spinal alignment, okay? So let's come through that sun A. One more time, we're going to inhale, look forward, maybe you step or jump to the top of the mat, come into the halfway lift. Now, if you have lumbar disc injury, you would just stay here. Or if you don't, you would exhale and you would fold all the way down. And then inhale, we would all rise up, up, up. Squeeze the glutes, pull the belly in. Maybe take a little back bend, finding spinal extension. Good, inhale to neutral spine, and then exhale, swan dive it all the way down. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, full plant your hands, step or jump it back, high plank. Now maybe this time you try chaturanga, where you take your knees down your chest and your chin, it's up to you. And then inhale, you're gonna lift up into cobra, the one we just did, or maybe a higher cobra, or I'm in up dog here. Shoulders melt down away from the ears, squeezing the glutes to protect the low spine. Now we exhale, press the belly button through the back, downward facing dog. Keep a big bend in the knees, and your down dog if you need to. Good. We're gonna drop down onto the knees. We're gonna do a couple things on the floor to help the back, okay? So we've done spinal extension, we've done spinal flexion in those sun A's, those two sun A's that we just did. So now we're gonna do the side to side, okay? So right and left. So one of the ways that I like to practice is maybe you just sit crisscross applesauce, or you sit in half lotus, however it feels good to you. Just make sure you can find those sits bones. So press those sits bones down into the floor or into the mat, wherever you are. Roll the shoulders up, down, and away. Again, we're still in mountain pose, basically the top half of our body. So we're still finding a really long spine here, okay? So on your inhale, I want you to lift the arms up. On your exhale, you're gonna drop the right hand down. And you're gonna extend the left hand across the ear, draw the left shoulder back, look up, up, up. Make sure your left hip, your left sits bones stay planted into the mat. Very, very important here. So from here, you can stay just like this. You don't even have to be this far at all, or you can walk that right hand out as far as you want to, come down onto the elbow. Just let this feel good to you. You should feel a really nice stretch through the left side, and even down through the hip. Good, now we're gonna inhale, we're gonna come all the way back up to center, lift the arms up, and then exhale, hands to the heart. Now just for balance, we're gonna uncross the legs, and it doesn't matter if you're sitting crisscross applesauce or you're sitting in half lotus, whichever way you're sitting, you're going to flip-flop your legs. So whichever leg was on top, now goes on the bottom, okay? So it might feel weird if you just have your legs in crisscross applesauce to now cross them the other way, because you probably don't do it like that very often, but that's just for our hip sake, okay? All right, so we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. Lift the arms up, 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 extending through the fingertips. And then exhale, the left hand is gonna come down, and maybe this is as far as you come, that's okay. Keep rotating that right shoulder back, or just drawing the right shoulder back, maybe looking up towards the ceiling. And then if you want, you can start to walk the left arm down, maybe onto the elbow, or not that far. You don't have to go that far. It's just an option. And just breathe. Find a softness in your face. Good, we're gonna inhale, we're gonna come all the way back up, lift the arms, find a little bit of spinal extension, and then exhale, bring the hands to the heart center, neutral spine, and just breathe. Good. So we're gonna take the feet out in front of us. We're gonna do the twisting action here on both sides. So the first way we're gonna move is we're gonna take the right leg, and maybe you just pull it in here, that's fine. If you have a little bit more of a twist in your practice, you can take the right foot across the left. You're gonna sit up really straight, tall, drawing up through the crown of the head. You're gonna use your right hand as sort of a second spine behind your back. Lift the left arm up, up, up. And then on your exhale, you may just wrap the arm around the knee and turn over and look across towards the right. Or if you want to go a little bit deeper, you can take the left elbow to the outside of the knee and twist from there. And just take about 3 to 5 big deep breaths. Good. Slowly unwind yourself and just kind of counter pose that, just counter twist. Just kind of turn to the opposite side for a moment and then come back to center. Straighten both legs out. Good. Now we'll pull the left knee into the chest. Maybe you keep the foot here, or maybe you draw it over the right foot. The left arm is going to come and act as sort of a second spine. Just a reminder to keep the spine lifted, to keep engaging, and keep pushing through the crown of the head. Okay, so the right arm is going to reach up, inhaling, and on your exhale, you may wrap that arm around the knee and turn, or you may take the arm to the outside of the knee and twist a little bit deeper. Keep lifting up through the crown of the head, elongating the spine as you twist. Both sits bones are pressed evenly down into the mat. Okay, come back to center, just counter twist that a little bit, and then release. So we're going to come down on to the back. Just going to keep this here in case I need it. All right, so one of my favorite poses for not just the back but for the hips is a supine pigeon. We do pigeons a lot in power flow class. We do pigeon a lot in flow and yin and hold it for a really long time. But for a lot of people, it's just not that accessible, and that's okay. So here's an alternative to that. And sometimes I just do it this way because it feels good. And so you don't have to be pigeonholed into doing a pose one way just because that's the way you've always done it. Try it a different way. Try it a way that's a little bit more simple, or more accessible, okay? So we're gonna just plant through the feet. Notice that your hips are nice and even, pressed down into the mat. The back is really nice and soft. And then you're just gonna lift the right foot up, and you're gonna cross the ankle over the left knee. And you wanna start to sort of press the knee out. So you're finding an external rotation of the hips. So not only is this good for our spine, but it's obviously very, very good for our hips and our thighs. And then as we sort of draw the tailbone down, we continue to draw the tailbone down, we're gonna start to lift the left knee into the chest. Lifting it in. So you can take your hands here, maybe you take the hands behind the knee and just provide yourself with just a little bit of resistance. Or you can take the hands to the top of the shin or the knee. Again, continue to draw the sacrum down. And breathe here. Every exhale, just allowing the hip to relax a little bit more. A lot of times when we have low back pain or even back pain that extends up through the thoracic spine, it may actually be caused by tight hips or tight glutes. So this is a really good way to combat that. And so release from here. And then you're just going to lift that right foot up, maybe roll the ankles out a little bit, and then drop the foot down. Same thing on the other side, just pressing the hips down evenly into the mat. Lift the left leg up, extend through the heel, and then take the ankle onto the knee. Press the left knee sort of out, so we're finding the external rotation of the hip. And then drawing the sacrum and the tailbone down, we'll start to pull the right knee into the chest. You can stay just like this without using the hands for any resistance whatsoever if you would like to. Or you can take the hands behind the knee or on top of the shin. Just every exhale, you're drawing the right knee towards your chest just a little bit more maybe, but also drawing the sacrum down. So just close the eyes and release here. breathing. Every exhale, just getting a little deeper into this. Release out whenever you want. The great thing about being online is you can always press pause and just hold for a little bit longer, right? So we're just gonna go ahead and lift the left leg up, maybe roll the ankle out, and then drop the foot down. All right, so we're gonna activate the glutes just a little bit here, activate our pelvis. We're gonna come into a couple of bridge poses. So the first bridge, we're gonna do hands down by the side, press through the feet, just lift the hips up, up, up. Maybe roll the shoulder blades under the back. Notice that the weight should not be in the neck at all, so you should be able to turn your head to the right and to the left with no issues. You're pressing down through the feet as you lift the pelvis up. Okay, release out of that. Take your feet the width of your mat, maybe, and then just draw the knees together. For a lot of people, this takes the weight away from the low back and feels really nice. Another thing you can do here is windshield wiper the knees back and forth. Just kind of rolling over those hips in the low back. It always feels good to me as well. And then we're gonna take the feet heel toe them in about hips width distance apart again. And you're gonna do the same bridge we just did if you are comfortable with that and that's where you are in your practice. Or if you feel like adding on just a little bit, we're gonna inhale, press through the feet, lift the hips up, and then roll the shoulder blades and the arms, really the triceps, underneath the back, and maybe interlace the hands underneath the back. Keep pressing through the feet. Again, there's no weight into the neck, so you should be able to move the head from side to side and just breathe. Want to think about not allowing the knees to sort of splay out, but keeping them in about hips width distance apart, right over the ankles. Good. Exhale, we're going to release down wherever you're ready. Take the feet wide, draw the knees together, or maybe windshield wiper the knees back and forth. All right, so we're gonna actually begin to pull the knees into the chest and just rock forwards and back. If your spine likes this movement, then just embrace it. Some people's spines don't like this movement, and that's okay. All right, and then we're just gonna gently come into seated position, take the hands in front of you, and then we're just gonna slowly walk our way back. Now, if you can float through that, you know what I'm talking about, and you can obviously do that. We're gonna come on to the belly. Good. So the first posture we're going to do here is called seal. It's one of my favorite spinal extensions. So we would take the hands out just a little bit wide, a little bit wider than the mat, and then squeeze the glutes just a little bit. On your inhale, you're going to lift up, keep a micro bend in the elbows. Now, I think in seal it's really great to start to feel the back bend shift. So as you squeeze the glutes, you lift the heart open towards the ceiling and you start to feel where the back bend takes place. So it's no longer in that lumbar spine, but it starts to move up through the thoracic spine, right? And now, one of the great ways to stretch the back and the shoulders here is to take a deep breath in, maybe lift up, and on the exhale, the right shoulder is going to drop down. Tap, inhale, lift up. Exhale, left shoulder drops down and taps. Inhale up. And then exhale, right shoulder, and exhale, left shoulder, inhale, reach up, and maybe you just hold it, and just breathe, opening the heart, letting this feel really good. Good. Exhale, we're gonna come down, we're gonna draw the hands down by the side. Gaze stays down towards the mat. Neutral neck. We're going to lift the feet up. Locust pose or Shalabhasana. Extend those fingertips down towards the heels and breathe. Squeeze your pelvic floor here and draw your belly into midline. Good. Exhale, release. Maybe take the right ear onto the mat. Maybe allow the shoulders to meld, that's fine. We're going to come into that posture again. You can repeat what we just did. Or if you want, you can interlace the fingers behind the back. So we'll take the chin back onto the mat. Take your hands together. See if you can draw the heels and the hands together. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Extend the knuckles down towards the feet. Inhale, lift the chest, lift the feet. And breathe. Neutral neck. And release, maybe the left ear comes down onto the mat. Release the shoulders. Just let go. And then it's in your practice to do a Dhanurasana pose. You can absolutely do that. I'm not going to teach that on this particular video class, but if you already have that in your practice, that's absolutely fine. The next thing we're going to do is just a little bit more twisting. We're going to start to sort of wrap up our practice and cool down here. So go ahead and draw the right knee into the chest. Just squeeze it in. And then extend the right arm out to the side, and then draw the right knee across the body. Now the knee does not have to come down onto the floor. If this is as far as it comes, that's fine. You can even take a couch cushion or a pillow or whatever you need, and maybe just set the knee on whatever that thing is. Extending that right arm out, turn the gaze towards the right, and allow both shoulders to stay melted into the mat, ensuring that the twist happens in the waist, in more towards the thoracic spine than the lumbar spine, because again, lumbar spine is meant for stability, okay? So then just release here and find a little bit of surrender. Find a little stillness. Good, let's go ahead and come back to center. Pulling the knee into the chest. And maybe rotate it around a couple of times, it's fine. Then we're going to extend the right foot back out. Maybe sort of recenter yourself on the mat if you need to. Draw the left knee into the chest. Pull it in, squeeze it in, give it a little hug. You'll extend the left arm out to the side. Take a deep breath in. And on your exhale, you're going to draw the left knee across the body. Again, both shoulder blades stay planted down into the mat. It is not vital that the knee comes down to the floor. Place the knee on the pillow, a cushion, whatever you have at your disposal in your home today. Soften the eyes, soften the jawline, and just breathe and release here. Good, and when you're ready, come back, center. Squeeze the left knee back into the chest. And just release it down. So the last part of, well, the last part of our practice today is going to be an inversion. And I'm going to invite you to take an inversion that's just really nice on the back today. Maybe you come into feet up the wall. That's a really, really great one. One of my favorites is waterfall. So you can take any inversion you want. If you want a headstand or handstand, that's fine. If that's in your practice, that's great. Happy baby is great. It's actually a great place to start. So if you want to draw the knees towards the armpits, keep the sacrum down. Take your peace fingers between the big toe and the second toe, or you can take your hands onto the outside of the feet. That's fine as well. You're just going to begin to rock from side to side, just getting the feet above the heart. And then, of course, sort of my favorite one for tight back is to take a block or a big book or anything that you might have and press up, place it underneath your glutes, underneath the hips, right? And then all you're going to do is just lift the feet above the hips, so ankles stack right on top of the hips, shoulders sort of tuck in, and you just breathe here. Finding a decompression for your low back. Feels really good. And then just gently from wherever you are, we're going to lift our hips off the block. You're going to come out of whichever inversion that you're in. You're going to extend the right foot to the right corner of the mat, left foot to the left corner of the mat, palms face up, tuck the shoulder blades under, soften the eyes, soften the gaze. And just breathe, finding Shavasana. Allowing the entire body to melt down into your mat, just feeling weightless, as if you're just floating on a cloud, no cares, no worries, being present exactly where you are. So you're going to stay here for a good 3-5 minutes, however long you need to stay. Slowly begin to move out of your Shavasana, maybe by wiggling the fingers and the toes. taking a nice full body stretch, or maybe even drawing the knees into the chest, coming on one side or the other, just listening to your body and what it needs today. Eventually, you'll come into a comfortable seated position just as I am here. Legs can be in front of you if you want. You can sit in half lotus or crisscross applesauce, whichever makes you feel the most comfortable, because that's where we are right now in our practice. So we're going to bring our hands to the heart center. I want to thank you for joining me online today. Thank you for supporting my studio here at the Wellness Collective in Anderson, South Carolina. I genuinely appreciate you. And the highest in me sees and honors the highest in you.